Okay, so today on Canada AM, we have Jane Mitchison-Schwartz here with us on our TV studio. She is a high school communication technology teacher who has made a documentary called Conditioned to Be On Call. Never thought that technology would grow to the point that teenagers use it daily.
I didn't have any concept, actually. Technology for me growing up in high school, when I took a computer course, we actually had pet computers, very, very old computers in the classroom. And our technology that we had was basically sitting there reading about it through textbooks. And I think one project we got up and we were able to use the computers around the room. So I had really no idea at all of what it would mean now. And even just from 10 years ago, even as a young adult looking around, I had no idea that it would go so mobile. And I guess the first step, or first hint I saw for that was when I started carrying around a cell phone in my car for safety purposes in case anything happened to the car. But I never really thought of it for socially. And I know it was used for business. And I guess it was really interesting to me to start seeing teenagers picking up a business tool and starting to use it in a very social type of way.
Okay. The use of cell phones has changed dramatically in the past. Do you think cell phones will still be here in the next 7 years?
Definitely, yeah. I think mobile technology is here to stay. I mean, you look at any old Star Trek type of episode, and you see the way they're walking around into all these rooms with all this different communications, or they've got their little communicator on them, that mobile type of thing. I think we've always wanted to have something like that, and I think now that we finally found the technology to do that, it's only going to improve and get better, and it'll just be, I think it'll just be maybe some different features and things that are added. MIT, I know, is looking at putting in projectors, so you could actually project things on large, white space walls or whatever else to show people, what's on your phone. So I think that active engagement in an actual physical space will become a little bit more predominant as we use the tools and as they grow a little bit more.
You started your research about teenagers and texting in 2009. What were the most astonishing results to you?
Oh, wow. I guess it would be the whole social part of it. I didn't realize how connected teens would be with it too, because it was a business tool. I wasn't expecting to see it become an extension, I guess, of the self. It's part of their bodies. So that's probably the most surprising, to see that identification, that I think that students had with it. It's part of them. And I guess the other part would be socially, watching students develop socially, and that they really needed the tool to help them develop that way, and to maintain their identities and that kind of thing, construct their identities. And yes, there were some kind of really shocking sort of things that came out of it that were really interesting, which is why I wanted to find out more about it and started that whole research process.
Teens and their relationship with technology has changed at a really fast rate. Have you stopped to think about the relationship with technology that's changed since you graduated from university in 1993?
Oh, wow. I used a typewriter. I was a complete Luddite. I couldn't stand technology, which is funny because I have a Bachelor of Applied Arts in a technological field. I wanted to use the technology, like the cameras and that kind of thing, and the editing equipment, all that high-tech type stuff. I wasn't into just a regular desktop computer. And I actually refused to use a computer through university. I remember even getting a grade from one of my professors that was lower because he was upset that the S on my typewriter was up higher and misaligned on my text. He said, "Why don't you go in and do this stuff in the computer lab like everybody else?" I want to be at home. That's my mobile technology. It's my manual typewriter. So yeah, I had no connection really with any other type of technology except for the professional type of stuff that was in a TV studio.
All right. Teachers are concerned that their students are being distracted from their education because of their cell phones. Parents are worried that their children are becoming too connected to their cell phones. What are students' greatest fears with texting?
I found, specifically with BBM, the BlackBerry, the messaging service, you can tell when somebody's actually read the message. And if you don't reply, you can get caught in white lies very easily. And that's probably the biggest concern I've heard socially with friends, worrying about what friends think. And then the other big thing is with work. We actually had students that had given their BBM ID over to, a PIN number over to managers, and they'd call them into work an hour beforehand, even though they weren't even scheduled. And It's, how come you're not answering me? I know you're there, and this is your boss doing it to you. So that's awful. That's the biggest fear that and it's happened, it's been realized. Before that fear was even there, I guess it was more of the outcome kind of came, and then the realization that, uh-oh, I dug myself into a hole, this isn't good. So, yeah, I think that understanding now is a fear. Hopefully a manager doesn't ask anybody for their BBM pin if you're working at McDonald's.
Alright, taking a year off to go back to Ryerson University, you completed a documentary on teens and texting called Conditioned to Be On Call. You mentioned that teens are using and creating social spaces on the internet to maintain friendships and help forget their identities.
Forge their identities.
Yes. Do you still find that relevant 3 years after you made your documentary?
Yeah, teens are very, very social. And I guess what's the same about teens, and something that will never change, is that the age that you're at, you're still developing different types of friends. And as an adult, where I am now, and where a lot of other adults, we've already been through that process of forging friendships. And so we know who's there for a reason, who's there for a season, and who's there for a lifetime. Whereas teens are figuring that out. Technology is great for helping them figure that out, because they can tell by the responses that they're getting and how connected they are, whether or not those friends are, have that stick with itness, I guess, for a lifetime too. So that's all a really interesting part of it. I think that's always going to be relevant because we're social animals.
Social networking is a very active topic in the education system. Do you feel that there's more benefits to it or more drawbacks?
To social networking?
Yes.
With teachers or with students? Both. Okay. So some drawbacks with the distraction. We notice that with students, being on Facebook and that kind of thing, and Twitter. But at the same time, we've also had students arranging to get together in groups, coming up with ideas for projects and sharing them with each other online after hours, which is fantastic, right? Education becomes 24/7. Clarification of different things, all that kind of thing. There's a huge benefit to that. And then building on each other's ideas. So there's a lot of positives that way, as long as the technology is used appropriately. But the distraction is a problem, because you need a certain amount of time to be able to sit and work over things in your brain to really connect with it and comprehend what's going on. There's a whole complex process going on, and if that's distracted too much by bing, bing, then it can get you right off track, and then you drop that thought, and you're not able to get that down and to be able to prove that you fully comprehend and understand an assignment in school. So it's both positive and negative. It all depends on self-regulation.
Yes. Self-regulation. Do you feel that social media, texting, and education could be integrated with each other at some point in the future?
Oh, definitely, because we are social. Social learning is so important, and it's something that it's not even just being here in school. It's a life skill, right? When you get out and you're in the workplace, the whole working together with different people, you got that for the rest of your life. So social learning is so important, and social media is really good for that. And there's a transparency to it too. There's an understanding of being in a public space and seeing what's going on in that space. There's the whole, the information is there, and it can continue into that certain space, relationships being built. There's just so many benefits around education that they can really take and use to their benefit. If teachers will go that route, that's the hope.
Yes, hopefully. You taught your students to self-regulate in class with their cell phones. Do you find that it works?
No, not always. Sometimes, yes. I find I need to cue attention. I need to be able to tell people, okay, well, we need to put screens off, kind of thing, put it away for a moment, because you can only listen to one full stream of information, understand what we're doing at this time. But as you're moving over to some of the computers or whatever else and that kind of thing, that's a time to quickly check. Let's check in, see what's going on, get something in quickly, or add something to your calendar or whatever else. That's fine. So it's that self-regulation, teaching students about self-regulation. And I've noticed some changes. I'd say the senior students are actually better at it. And I think that maybe grade 10, there's a novelty still to it, which needs to wear off. And studies out of Norway showed when texting first came in that there are about 100 texts a day. And that's actually gone off to about half as much, about 50. And they were texting before we were. They were right into it before Canadians, South Americans were. So I think that I'm seeing that with the 12s. I'm seeing them come down a little bit more, whereas the 10s are, oh, I can't put this thing away.
So like the novelty game away after a certain period.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when novelty wears off, it doesn't mean you're going to get rid of it. It just
No.
means that you're going to find other uses for it and maybe more, maybe there's a chance maybe for more productive instead of just always social to come in there too. So yeah, it's not that it's going to peter out and go away. And it'll, probably some other type of form. If texting on a cell phone is popular now, there may be some other type of social medium that comes in, something after Facebook, something after MySpace we've seen, right? Friendster, those things are all old. There's always going to be something because we are so social.
In your experience as a communication technology teacher, have you ever stopped to think about not using social media in your classroom?
No, because I think that's where students are. I think that's where you connect. Most students are using social media and have a pretty good understanding already. They're coming to us with that knowledge, that skill already. So it just makes sense to use it in the classroom.
And how has texting impact your life outside the classroom?
Outside. My family texts. We're all big texters, but I'm very good at self-regulating. I'll put it away, and I wasn't initially, I have to tell you. And I actually did a blog post the day before school after speaking to a bunch of researchers on how to manage your attention and how to not get so stressed out. And that's the big thing that I found, and I'm finding with other people too, not just myself, but you can reach technological saturation, media saturation too, where you just need to take a break. And it's important to be able to listen to your body and know when you're getting stressed out and know that you've got to put it away. So breaks could be things like, and it depends on the person. For me, focusing my attention on a book and feeling the pages turn, that's huge for me. That de-stresses. Going out in nature, going for a walk, that kind of thing is all de-stressing. Some people it might be a Sudoku puzzle, whatever else, but taking that time away is really important so that you don't feel bogged down and just rushed and stressed and heart palpitations. So yeah, we have to learn how to manage that.
Teens are very emotional, attached to their cell phones, but have you found the same emotions in your children?
Oh yeah, it's an extension of themselves for sure. It's a connection to us too. There's a whole feeling of safety, I think, in parenting, where they know that we're there just in case anything happens, and they'll often text us and let us know where they are with their technology and that kind of thing. And yeah, so very much so. But we're trying to teach them proper modeling again by putting it away at certain times. And my kids have tried taking them to bed with them because let's face it, it's another arm for them. But we now have a family station where everybody has to put their devices on, including the adults. And we all put them there, we all charge them at night, and that gets us away from the technology so we're not hearing beeping and that kind of thing at night and getting disturbed from that. So yeah, and I guess I'm a lot like them that way too. And I didn't come by it initially, but I've come into it. I guess they call the youth digital natives, right? People who've grown up in it. I'm not a digital native, I'm a digital immigrant, but I think I'm in bridging both of those worlds. I think I get it. I think I'm realizing it, I'm seeing it because it's happening, well, in the classroom with students as well as at home with my kids, so, yeah.
Have you ever caught yourself using your cell phone or social media too much?
Yeah. And that was especially, I would say, a year and a half ago when I felt really, really stressed. And that's when I started making some changes. And those changes are slow going. There's times when I still get stressed and I have to tell myself to put it down. But yeah, it's a slow process. You got to be able to analyze. Why am I doing this right now? Why do I need to do this right now? Do I even need to be doing this right now? What should I be doing instead? And balancing, because there's family and everything involved too, and you got to spend quality time with them too. And so priorities are very important.
In your documentary, Tradition to be on call, you have a teenage girl who was texting while interviewing her. Exactly how many text messages did she receive?
It was just under 120, 114, 118, I can't remember exactly, but that interview was in less than an hour. And she didn't even tell her friends that the interview was going on, so this wasn't even set up. This is just a regular day for her. And it's amazing because she was feeling a lot of stress in the interview because they were putting in question marks when she wouldn't answer back. They wanted to know right away. So she was trying to answer me, but trying to answer them at the same time. And she definitely felt some stress.
Is she a lot better at texting?
It's come down a little bit, but she's still it's very much an extension of herself. I don't think she'll ever get rid of it.
All right, thank you.